right, friends, let's dive into how this 5th grade homeschooling year went with our Abeka Homeschool Academy curriculum. Hi there, friends. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I am Yessi, and we have officially finished our 2nd year homeschooling our children with the Abeka Academy curriculum. And I just have to say, I am once again super happy, super satisfied, to the point that we are using them again next year. That's how much our family loves the curriculum. I'm not the only one who loves it. My husband loves it. And more importantly, my son loves it. He loves what he's learning in it. He loves the content. He loves how it is presented. He enjoys it. And little by little, I have seen how he has developed a love for learning and a pride for learning, which is something that we really had to work on. We've been working on this for the past 2 years for him because he really disliked school. I'm gonna be honest, he disliked school. He had a lot of social anxiety when it came to school, and he didn't really enjoy going to it nor doing much learning in it. He had developed like this negative association with school. I don't know why. I've asked him why, and I always wondered if there was something that happened, and he would tell me no. He used to find it so boring and he didn't like it. Now with homeschooling is a whole different ballgame. I'm not gonna lie to you. There are still struggles. You know, he still has his moments where he doesn't enjoy what he is doing, but he actually loves homeschooling and he loves the curriculum that we are using. And because of that, we are not going to change anything. We are not going to change our curriculum. We are going to keep the curriculum that our family loves because it's what works. One thing that I say over and over again about this curriculum is that I loved how it is faith-centered. I love how our faith is just woven through every single subject, from the very first class, which is a Bible, all the way to the art activities that have Bible verses in them sometimes. Like, to me, that is so important. And I have seen how my son has developed this desire for learning and actually wants to do certain activities. And to me, that just means the whole world. It just means the whole world. So we are going to talk about the things that have gone well this year, the things that we have tweaked and changed, and things that we are going to either keep the same or tweak a little bit for next year. So last year was our first year homeschooling, and we used the Abeka Academy accredited. And I was so happy that we went with accredited because it really set the expectation for everyone. Last year was a really hard year for us because, as you guys know, we had all those health issues. It was a very challenging year last year for us. But praise the Lord, this year was a whole different ballgame. I praise God because we've been healthy and everything has been going very well this year, and it was just such a smooth year. So us doing accredited last year and doing all the required components really helped set the expectation for my son and for us, the parents as well. It really kept us accountable. This year we decided to go unaccredited and do the independent learning, which we absolutely loved as well. I do have a video talking about the differences in both programs, which you get the same exact curriculum. It just has to do with things that you mail in and not mail in. But we loved doing independent study. We loved the unaccredited just because it gave us so much flexibility into how we were going to instruct or how we were going to do certain things. Now, eventually, when our son gets older, and I can't believe I'm already thinking about this, but enters into high school and, he's moving on, we do want him to graduate from Abeka Academy. So we do want him to do the Abeka accredited eventually once again. As for now, though, we are keeping it unaccredited for the time being. However, I am doing everything when it comes to reporting and assessments just like accredited. So I still fill out the progress report. We still do all the assessments. We still, for the most part, watch the majority of the videos. But there are certain things that we have tweaked around to make it more of our own here at home. Something that we kept the same from last year when it came to my portion of doing the curriculum, I did penmanship with the kids. My son did his practices in the afternoons after we were done with our reading class, and then in the weekends as well. And we also did art and music in the weekend as well. So that still worked very well for our family. Our schedule also worked amazingly this year, especially after such a wonderful, healthy year. Praise the Lord. Our schedule just worked so wonderfully. If you are interested in seeing what a day in the life for us looks like, I recorded one before this year was over. I'll tag it up here somewhere. And I also have a blog post in my blog, Joyful Yessi, where I break down our homeschool schedule and just give you some guidance in how to put one together. Some of the highlights this year that were really heartwarming was seeing our son help our daughter. Sean would sometimes, show me little glimpses of Noah going on over there and, showing May how to form a certain letter or how to write a certain number. And seeing those moments of him teaching her how to do something and taking that leadership role as a big brother has just been so heartwarming and so wonderful to watch. So I've loved that. And I'm seeing that also here at home now that the summer has started. He really, has taken this role of teaching his little sister how to do things. And that just warms my heart. Something that was a huge highlight and that my son was so proud of was his library research project. He took so much pride in that project and wrote such an awesome research paper. I was just so proud of him for that. He did the majority of it by himself. Now, we did tweak it a little bit. So we guided him into doing more online research instead of going into the library. So that's one way that we did it different. Sean really, taught reliable resources, non-reliable resources, and how to do research online. And we let him pick the person that he wanted to do. He decided to do Charles Babbage. I had no idea who this person was. Didn't even know he existed. And it all stemmed from when they were trying to figure out which person to research. My husband was telling Noah, you have the freedom to research somebody. Pick something that you're really interested in and find somebody in that area. So he was like, well, I'm interested in the computers. So my husband was like, okay, so what about computers are you interested? And our son said that he wanted to know who invented them because they were so cool. It so happens this Charles Babbage guy, who's from the 1800s, was the guy who came up with these original ideas for computers. I had no idea. I thought computers were, later on in the 1950s and stuff like that. No, somebody actually had the concept of it way back then, and he just became so interested in researching this guy. He wrote this wonderful report, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, Sean, are you sure you didn't help him with this? He's like, no, he did that on his own. And I was just like, he did the bibliography, everything. It was just, my son was so proud of it, but I was just such a proud mom too. Now, something that I have shared with you guys before is that our son is a reluctant reader. And it has nothing to do with ability. It has nothing to do with the fact that he wasn't read to when he was young, because I read to him almost every day when he was young. And his dad read to him every night before going to bed. It had nothing to do with that. It just had to do with the idea, I think, that when he went to school, he had to read all these things that he absolutely detested. He didn't like certain cold reads and certain things. He just wasn't interested in it. So my mission with him this year was to develop a love for reading, cultivate a love for reading. And with the curriculum itself, he was reading literature from the actual curriculum. He was doing the speed test and the comprehension test and doing the reading comprehension sheets, and he actually enjoyed those. Those were actually very interesting for him. He was doing all the exercises and all that fun jazz. So when it came to his book reports and his independent reading, I wasn't so concerned about him writing a book report. My priority became developing a love for reading and being able to go pick something out that you might find interested and read it for enjoyment. That really became my priority when it came to that. So when it came to book reporting, he participated in some book clubs in the summer. And up until October, he participated in his book clubs. And I told him that his participation in the book club would count as his book report grade. And he was okay with that. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, I got no problem with that, because he enjoyed going to the book clubs anyway, and he enjoyed participating in them. So that worked out really well for him. As for the rest of the books, I just let him pick what he wanted to read. I didn't give him a requirement. I just pick a book that interests you and you enjoy and read it. And that is working pretty well for us. So for this particular year, we are doing a summer reading program. And I'm just so impressed how he doesn't have that resistance anymore when I tell him to read something on his own. So in the summertime, I have started reading 30 minutes a day. He's currently reading a book that we got for free, and he loves it. He actually is enjoying it. He went as far as to taking the book to church. It's called, I think, The Secret Room or something like that. It was part of that Good and the Beautiful reading program, and he actually enjoys it. And when I ask him, what do you like about the book? He's like, it's adventurous. I love the adventure. But he went as far as to bringing the book to church with him to read it. I was just like, my husband was like, he brought a book with him? And I was like, mm-hmm. So I'm just like, it's working. It's working. That is working. So for this particular school year, which is coming up 6th grade, I am so excited because this is my grade of expertise. I taught reading for 13 years in 6th grade, so this is my jam here. And I am going to give some suggestions for independent reading because I kind of know this age group quite a lot. And one of the books that during COVID I was doing with my class when I was remote teaching was But Not Buddy, and he was only in 1st grade, and he was actually paying attention to my class instead of his actual class because he was so interested in it. So he's really looking forward to actually reading that book. So for this upcoming year, I'm keeping book reports very open-ended. I'm letting him pick the genre he wants to pick to read. I'm letting him pick what type of book he wants to read. I'm not really making it a page requirement as long as it's not a picture book, because I'm trying to foster that love for reading for him is a priority right now for me. And so book reports, we will get to them again. Another thing that changed this year was that I completely took over his reading class. Number one, he voiced to me that he'd rather read with me. Number two, it's an area I feel very confident in. These are skills that I feel very confident teaching to my son. So all I did was I used the reading guide that comes with the curriculum. In there, every single day is laid out. It gives you questions that you can ask the kids. It provides you with some connections that you can do. It honestly is almost like a teacher guide on how to use their curriculum. I absolutely loved doing that with him. Number one, it really gave me a window into seeing what my son was learning. It gave us opportunities to make connections. Outside, like, you know, if we would see something and he would remember, he's like, hey mom, that's like that story we read. It really gave me an opportunity to gauge what my son was understanding, what he wasn't understanding, what skills he needed additional practice with. So I absolutely love doing that with him. So I would do my daughter's reading class first, and then right after that, my son would know it was his turn and he would come over to the table and we would work on his reading. I had quite a lot of things that I pulled from when I used to teach reading this particular year to just make cross-curricular connections. Like when it came to Memorial Day, there was a documentary I used to do with my 6th graders. When it came to Paul's Revere Midnight Ride, we did a deep dive. We actually spent pretty much a whole week on that particular poem. We did closed reading activities, we did annotations, and I would always try to pull some sort of a video in, because I know from my experience with this particular age group, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, the kids really love having some sort of a video or a visual connection to whatever it is that they were reading. So it was really good. I mean, even in there, the story about the Kit Girl, there's a movie to it that takes place during the Great Depression. And that was really fun as well. And the last change that we did was that Sean took over more of the math lessons. Sometimes he would watch the lessons depending on what concept it was. And then sometimes my husband would do the lesson with him. Talking with my husband at the end of this year, he said next year he's definitely going to go back into viewing the lessons more because it gets a little bit harder and it's not an area that he's really comfortable in. So he said, you know, they'll do more of watching the video lesson in next year's math class. Now, when it comes to our end of the year portfolios for our kids, this year and last year, I pretty much took ownership of that. I just kept copies of the kids' assessments and stuff like that. Anything that I would send in, I kept a copy for myself. And then this year, I just kept all the tests along with the kids' progress report in there. This upcoming year, I want this to be more of the kids taking ownership of it and them creating their portfolio to show their academic growth. So my plan for next year is that at the end of every quarter, when I'm filling out my progress report time, this is going to be a time for them to do a little reflection piece, number one. And number two, I'm not gonna keep everything. I want them to probably pick about four particular things that they're really proud of on each subject, go through and then keep that as part of their portfolio, because I really don't need to keep everything that I'm keeping. And when it comes to schedules and routines, we are going to keep everything the same for next year, just because it works so well for our family. It just does, and everything just goes very smooth. Now, I want you to share with me, what is a highlight that you had for this homeschooling year? What is something that you feel very proud of? What is something that you feel went well in your homeschool? Or if you would like to share with me something that didn't work or in something that you're planning to change for next year, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.